process to work through that, but I'm not aware of it. I think it'll depend a little bit when the Iowa Flood Center does their study of the middle and south raccoon. They're actually looking at a long-term commitment. They have more funding coming, and so they're looking at not only assessing it, but then putting some practices in place where it's a high priority. And so they will be bringing money to the table probably before like the city of Des Moines or Waterworks would. We don't really have a structure in place right now for funding anything like that. Where it might come into play is there's a state revolving loan fund that funds wastewater, drinking water utilities, and excuse me, they're working on putting in place right now what they call sponsored projects. And what it would be is like if Des Moines decided to add to the drinking water treatment, we could get a loan through the SRF, and then instead of paying the loan back to the SRF, it could be spent in the watershed for watershed projects.
The interest,
So,
the interest on it.
The interest only. But that would be a way that like the city or Des Moines Waterworks could get involved in it. But those are just beginning stages right now, so it'll be a little while yet.
But that could be the foundation for a
Right.
water fund of some kind. Downstream entity pays for practices
Right.
upstream. Again, the kind of thing we're talking about, trying to be ready for it. If it happens, can we take advantage?
On down the road is my concern. Is this gonna be a quasi-government with rules and regulations and taxing authority and?
The taxing authority has been decidedly left out of this. No one wanted to see taxing authority. There will be bylaws for the group, but imagine the tone and the tenor of the times and the people around the table. Will it evolve over time? Who knows? But it's really about collaboration, cooperation. It is not about becoming a layer of bureaucracy.
And right now, it would take additional legislation to make them a regulatory entity at a given time. And the legislature is just totally not interested in doing that.
You talk about getting grants. Where's this money to come from? The country's broke.
Yeah. But there's still money out there available right now for flood mitigation in particular. And this watershed has had flooding issues, so that's probably the first place that there would be some funding available. And then over time, who knows?
Because this funding for the Iowa Flood Center study is really through housing and urban development. And that's funding we've never had before for watershed work. It's been strictly on housing projects. And so because of the flooding issues and the cost involved in recouping from the floods, it's allowing more agencies to provide money available for looking at that, those kinds of issues.
It's the ounce of prevention, pound of cure type funding that they're going after right now. When they did not have anything in place for flood mitigation, they paid dearly. So now some of these federal agencies are saying, we'll pay less if we plan better and come up with flood mitigation ahead of the flooding instead of trying to fix the problem afterwards. So that's the funding source primarily available right now.
One of the items that I thought was of particular interest would be, was addressed early on page 3 of the agreement, and it's that this alliance has no authority over eminent domain. So it doesn't appear as though anybody is planning to take several acres of farm ground out of place and make a lake, just to help downstream. So I'll let you address that very clearly in here too. So I was pleased to see that.
Well, there's a couple of philosophies that are very strong in the group, and that is if the landowners aren't happy with what this group is doing, this group will not be successful.
Right.
So this will ultimately be, probably pay a lot of attention to what the landowners want to see happen on the land, or it won't be successful. It's their land.
Very good.
I agree with what you said, Mark. I feel a lot comfortable after this discussion here this morning on this. And I do think, this does represent a lot of our agricultural land base as well as the entire city of Carroll. I do think we need to have representation on this board. Just some of the things, I'm sitting on the meetings they have up there with the Black Hawk watershed.
Yeah,
Some of
yeah.
the things they're doing on a very small scale, 17,000 acre, or 17,000 acre watershed up there.
Yeah.
Some of the things they're doing, it's really on a small scale, but I can see them really, evolving into something they're doing here.
Yeah.
Reading that plan, I think we need to have representation and a vote on this board, whether it be someone here, appointed, or we can appoint a private citizen. But I also think I'm in favor of it now, but I do think it's fair to table this maybe for a week, get Gene's input, and then make a decision a week from now. But as it sits right now, I'm in favor of it.
I have the same sentiment. The other thing I would bring up is our county attorney should review it before we approve it.
I'm supposed to exit stage left?
No, I was just finishing up with some notes there, and so pardon the moment of discomfort. Kind of need to let it simmer just a little bit. There's one more question here.
Linda or Pat, do you have a current copy of the 2080 agreement?
Pat has one, yes. And
Yeah, anybody else want some?
I might leave my card too, because I'm helping to kind of facilitate with the attorney on the 2080, so if your attorney has some questions, I can get you to them.
Thank you.
I've got digital copies.
Thank you. Yep, got mine.
All right, thank you very much, folks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Linda.
Linda, thank you too. Come back to Carol anytime. Okay. Good questions, everybody.
Yes, thanks a lot, folks. Appreciate your time very much. Thank you.
That's